meeting of the National Democratic Party matters, when normally obscure party members, the type of people you see at conventions or delegates or other what they call committee members, will decide who runs the Democratic Party at this pivotal time and who decides what the fixes are for what happened in 24. And even mulling a future that could go beyond the incumbent D.C. Democrats. Chuck Schumer, as a matter of reality, is not going to be in charge forever. The two frontrunners are party officials who are known at the local level, but less so nationally, Ken Martin and Ben Wickler. And they're now facing off in the most pivotal DNC chair race in years, coming February 1st. And tonight, we are joined by Ken Martin, one of those frontrunners, currently the chair of the Minnesota Democratic Party. Welcome.
Thank you, Ari. Great to be here.
Great to have you. One of the things people who wanted the Democrats to win, Democrats or liberals, are frustrated with is a feeling that D.C.'s out of touch. They can't get straight answers. There wasn't full honesty from everyone over the course of the last year. So let's start with your honesty test. Why did the Democrats lose the last election? What did they actually do wrong, in your view, specifically?
Well, look, we're still trying to figure it out. I mean, there's a lot we don't know at this point. We know we lost ground with working-class households, with women, with Latino leaders, with of course, a whole host of demographics. What we don't know at this time is the how and why, and we have to get to the bottom of that, of course.
Do you have a view? You don't know why?
Well,
let me ask you. You don't know why you lost ground with working-class voters?
Well, I have an idea why we lost ground with working-class voters, and part of it starts with the perceptions of our party. There was some damning research last spring that showed for the first time in American history the perceptions of the two parties have changed. The majority of Americans now believe that the Republicans best represent the interests of the working class and the poor. Democratic Party is a party of the wealthy and the elite. That's a damning indictment on our brand. We've got to do a better job of showing working-class households that we're going to stand up and fight for them. And what I mean by working-class households, it's not just code for white people. It's black, brown, and white people who are working harder than they ever have in this country, feeling that they can't get ahead, feeling like they can't climb the economic ladder, and they feel like our party has forgotten them. That's part of the challenge we have, is that we got to stand up and fight for them. And it's not just being present during an election year, showing up 3 to 4 months before an election and asking for their vote. That's why I support year-round organizing. That's why I support having a presence in communities well before, so we're actually building relationships with voters and giving them a sense that we're not just using them for their votes, but we actually care about their lives and their hopes and dreams for their future. Yeah, and you referred to the perception and that view. A big question for the party is whether that is largely perception or whether that seeps into reality, which doesn't mean every attack or every Republican criticism is correct, but there are liberals, progressives who say it starts with the substance. Here's how Bernie Sanders put it.
If you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is no, and that is what has got to change.
So that's the follow-up question. Is it a perception thing or is it a reality thing? I know the party chair race doesn't mean that you write a whole platform and you work across the whole party. But I think you well know Sanders is talking about the idea of taking on the healthcare industry rather than subsidizing it, taking on Wall Street in a way that Democrats haven't, and that those substantive things, at least in a hopefully fact-based world, would lead to political dividends.
Well, I agree with Bernie on this, which is people have to feel that the changes that you're advocating for are actually making a difference in their lives. And here in Minnesota, that's what we've done. With the power we had, we actually focused on an agenda that would help working-class people. And we passed that in a package of legislation that's making a huge difference right now in the lives of average, everyday Minnesotans who are struggling to get ahead. That's what Bernie's talking about. That's what a whole host of Democrats are talking about. So it's not enough just to say you're going to do something. My old mentor in politics was a guy named Paul Wellstone, who said you should never separate the lives you lead from the words you speak. You can't just say you care about working class people. You actually have to deliver. You have to use the power you have when you have it to make the biggest difference for as many people as you can. See, I think what's happened in American politics is people are disillusioned with both political parties who say one thing to earn your vote, and when they get into power, they don't deliver. So I think there's a lot of folks who are frustrated with what they're seeing in Washington and throughout states throughout this country when people get elected to office and don't do a damn thing to help improve the lot of average, everyday people in this country.
Yeah. And I remember Paul Wellstone. I think if he were around right now, he'd be pretty fired up or pissed off. But he certainly was a leader and took a backseat to no one in fighting powerful interests. Ken Martin, I say this respectfully, we'll find out soon if we're going to hear a lot more from you on the national level. I know you're busy on the local level. So thanks for joining us and letting people hear some of your plans for the party.
Thanks for having me, Ari.
Yes, sir.